All right, so this is the final presentation for the PilotCity Chamber of Innovation. You all know that we went through some detours with this program specifically. So Daniel, very excited that you were able to take the experience by its horns and ride it to really gain that experience. Luckily, you fell into the laps of some of our former employer, Jerry Chang, who actually was the liaison for the city of East Palo Alto when he was with them as a Fuse Fellow. And so, and also not to mention, Jerry was a phenomenal liaison when he was formerly in our program. So you're in very good hands. So it seems like you definitely got hands-on as well with your project. So very excited about learning more about what you've been able to do at the perspectives. Jerry, love for you to kind of interpret what the initial project scope was with City East Palo Alto, and then how you transitioned Daniel into the scope that you and Greg were working on to give some context for our audiences. So Jerry, would you be able to share some context on kind of that sequence you took Daniel on a journey with?
Yeah, so originally, so I'm going to take things back a little bit earlier. So last year during the summer, PilotCity and City of East Palo Alto experimented on what would it look like to have like a program within a program. And the City of East Palo Alto really got excited to look at, oh, this is a way that the entire city can really activate youth from across the region to be really interested in East Palo Alto and our values and our issues. So the city really wanted to get youth excited in one area, not only of need in the city, but of I think, an exciting opportunity for transformation, because the youth are not engaged in a lot of the economic development of the city, but they are very much engaged kind of through their coursework and through other programs in the innovation of the city. So what we realize is that there is actually a real disconnect between talking about innovative ideas that the youth were really doing a really good job of, and actually getting the business leaders who have the experience putting ideas into actual action, right, in a way that's actually supported financially. So the city had the real foresight to say, well, next year we'd love to have an internship program just dedicated in bringing youth into that world of actual like value creation with the city. And the City of East Palo Alto knew that it's not the city's job necessarily to do this, but generally a community would have something like a chamber of commerce who might be able to take things like that on. So the idea of bringing a youth in to develop a prototype chamber, or at least a prototype chamber website, would be exciting to start engaging actual community members and youth to be excited about what's possible, and really maybe create some sort of a launch, like a founding team. And I know that's what the city was looking to do, and it didn't really know how it was going to happen, but it was really excited to see what could be produced, and to have that further conversation. So I think that's where it was when I left the city in April, before the city, I think, fully implemented its vision.
Great. And with that concept in mind, I think it actually, the project scope, Daniel, didn't really change too much, did it? It seemed like.
No, it didn't. My perspective was that, like, when I was working with the city, they had a large focus on local and home businesses, but it had the same idea, like Jerry said, just engaging the community, trying to just engage people in business. So we've kept that same scope, like as I'm working with Jerry and Gregory.
Yeah.
Jerry, did you want to mention something there?
No, I was just trying to think. Yeah, there's definitely a lot more, I think, engagement in how Daniel worked with us. Because the way the city was imagining was just to create a prototype based on what it has already heard. But much of what I was doing at the time was actually working with community members on live projects. So because me and my team, we were able to essentially adopt the city intern project, we saw that we were out ahead kind of doing the next phase of the project, getting the ground ready for people to then engage with the prototype that Daniel was developing. So we realized there's no reason to kind of keep them separate. We can actually have the people we're building to engage with the prototype actually be part of the process that Daniel was already underway creating the prototype. And that way we could reduce like the rounds of like presentation and feedback and really just integrate them. And yeah, I don't know how successful we were, but I think Daniel could speak more about that.
Sounds good. So Daniel, let's do this. Since this is a very intimate crew, but it will be for public kind of consumption with this project and this presentation. Why don't you go ahead and walk us through the story of how you interpreted this program? And since you're a single presenter here, go ahead and start as, even before the detour, when you were just working on the project, and share with us kind of how you were feeling and some of the ideas that are going in your head and how you interpreted the project. And then when the detour happened, then we introduced you to Jerry and Greg, or Jerry introduced you to Greg. Then tell us about the story, how you processed that. And I don't know if you have anything prepared, but we're going to give you a co-host so you can maybe share or demo or share some things that you worked on. What are some things that you produced, even if it's just rough, scrappy. I'm sure you have something prepared, I would assume, or something to show, but feel free to share in detail some of the work that you did too. How's that sound? And then give us a full-blown tour. This is the platform is yours.
Yeah, okay. I definitely have something prepared. I could definitely show you guys.
Okay, cool.
Similar presentation with Jerry for ATA. So Jerry's heard a lot of this, but I'll present to the rest of you guys.
Great. And if you can walk us through the story before you got to what you're showing us now, that'd be great.
All right. So I started this internship like during the spring of this year, and I don't know, I was working with the city, but there wasn't a lot of communication between me and the city. But through the internship, I got the idea that they were really focused on the design of this and sort of the feel of it. They sort of wanted like an outline of it that they could help me populate later down the road. So that's what I was focusing on earlier in the internship. And then when Jerry and Gregory adopted me, I started working with them more closely, and they helped me a lot in building this. So that's sort of the background before I get into all this. Should I start?
Sure, go for it.
All right, so this is the homepage of the East Palo Alto Chamber of Commerce and Chamber of Commerce and Community Innovation. So first thing you see is Welcome to East Palo Alto, the Join the Chamber button. And under that, there's a little mission statement. So the East Palo Alto Chamber of Commerce is meant to aid, advertise, educate, and create business while introducing new people to the gems in our city's commerce. Stay educated with your local Chamber of Commerce and local business. A strong community of local business is powerful, and together you can speak up and make an impact. And you'll sort of see those ideas like throughout the website. That's what we based a lot of these tools and services on, these main ideas. And then under that, excuse me. Sorry, can you guys still hear
Yep.
me?
Yeah, we're still here.
Yep. So here.
That here, if that pops up again, I might have to.
We didn't see it if it helps.
All right.
We just heard it.
Okay. So here are some easy access buttons for what I anticipate will be like the most used services. So for example, events and gatherings, speak up for the community. I'll get into a lot of these later. And then under that, we have this support small business strip, which is sort of like a dynamic part of the website. There it is again. Okay. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, we're fine.
Okay, sorry. Give me just 1 minute, if that's okay.
Yeah, go for it. It
Okay.
sounds important. And maybe in the meantime, Jerry, you can share some of your perspective of the process that you kind of went through with Daniel as he was making these. Were you just giving him feedback? Were you showing this to real people? What were some of the things you did in between?
Yeah, Daniel, I realize now as I hear Daniel say that he wasn't able to be in much communication with the city. So I did see that Daniel was doing a lot of really great research in what in what the general recommendations are from chambers. He looked at a lot of chamber websites. He read a lot about like chamber missions, and we really felt comfortable that he understood things from what like a standard chamber would be looking for. But it was clear that he didn't have the access to talk to like people who were really setting the heart and soul of the city. The people, the community leaders, the old timers whose voice really embodied what the community was about. So we realized that oftentimes in communities that have faced a trauma or have been traditionally underserved, there is a historical feeling that what fits for other communities, like the standard or the model, doesn't quite fit for these communities that really have their individual and unique challenges. So yeah, much of what we realized needed to do was to take the talent and the research that was clear Daniel brought to the table and really support it with people who set the culture for East Palo Alto and how to make those connections.
Wonderful. That's definitely helpful context. Daniel, feel free to build on what he said if you heard part of it, but feel free to continue demo as well.
Yeah, so like Jerry said, in preparation for this, I did look at a lot of Chamber of Commerce's just as examples, but Jerry and Gregory and the whole Elevate EPA team, like they were really needed for adding like the East Palo Alto, like all the special things that East Palo Alto needs that couldn't be copied from other Chamber of Commerce's. So, okay, I'll continue with the demo. So this strip, like I said, it's dynamic, so it can really be populated with anything that has the idea of supporting small businesses. So this little strip is just meant to advertise and highlight like community businesses. And then under that, here just outlines our basic services, like the most basic services of this chamber, which is economic support, events and gatherings, which is like maintaining the community. We have economic opportunities, and we have education and training. And in this same column, we have the question, how might local businesses and organizations work together to benefit the community? Which is definitely an important question for a Chamber of Commerce. And we give people the opportunity to answer that under here in this little strip that's anchored at the bottom of every page. So this will show up on any page you're on. And here you can answer that question. You could ask your own question. You can contact us and get help. And I guess I'll go page by page, showing you what I've done.
It looks good so far, by the way. I'm very impressed already that you've got this level of detail. But
Thank
yeah,
you.
keep going.
Okay, here's a good moment to just say that this whole website is a draft and sort of an outline for our final product. And I mention this because these aren't real people. So these will obviously be filled in later once the chamber is complete.
What does community representatives mean in this case? Because that's a very vague.
Community representatives, they're basically going to be the chamber members that are going to maintain and run the Chamber of Commerce. So these are going to be the people that you can contact and get help, and these are like these are the people running the chamber.
I see, and I guess because this may operate under the city. Sorry to ask questions in your middle of your presentation, but since it's part of the city, you can't really call it a board of directors. Right?
Exactly. Yeah, this isn't city-owned Chamber of Commerce, so no, we cannot call that. Yeah.
Yeah, before, before we have paid staff, basically, when it's still being run by volunteers.
Mhm.
And before the community has decided on like a hierarchy or organizational structure.
Great, thank you.
Okay, and this is the members part of our page, and right now our only three members are Jerry, me, and Gregory. And once you look at these boxes, it'll tell you a lot about what this page can do. So I can add badges to anyone who joins. So for example, we all have the founding member badge, and we have the free member badge, which is the plan that we chose when we created our account. I could follow Jerry or Gregory, I can message them. So it just helps business owners just connect with each other. And under here is a public chat of really just any community member on the page. You'd have to sign in to use it, but this is just another way of how community members can just spread ideas and communicate with each other. Here's our business and directional map. So right now it just outlines all the businesses that have joined the Chamber of Commerce, but hopefully we wanted to outline like future events and gatherings. We have the Speak Up for the Community page, and this has some cool tools. This has Video Ask, which I know was a somewhat of a focus for the Pilot City internship, where you can send in your video answering a question. You could get videos back answering that same question. And here's the direct messages box that's at the bottom of every page. And under here is a join a meeting calendar where you can find just links to any meetings and discussions where you can share your ideas, discuss issues on the city. Business opportunities. This just outlines the benefits of joining the chamber. So I can do this quickly. You're basically advertised on the website, like your business is shown throughout our website. You can be, you have access to the directory, our map, our calendar, our events. You can learn social media through our member exclusives, which I'll go through later. And you can learn business with our educational programs as well. Oh, I skipped events and gatherings. Let me go back. So events and gatherings, this is like somewhat of a community calendar where you can show your event time and day on the calendar here and then go into more detail on the sides. And any chamber member can submit their own event and we can add it on the calendar for them. Here we have city applications, just your most basic, business forms, permits, and applications. Support and resources. So this has a lot of good resources that I divided into county and nonprofit. And I think this will be a very helpful page for anyone who joins the chamber. Job postings. So this page links you to just job finding websites. It automatically sends you to jobs near East Palo Alto. And under that, we also have some job training links. the chamber applications page. This is like the city applications page, but it's more specific to what the chamber needs at the time. So if it needs a community intern or a community partner to work with the chamber, then we can add it here. And then we have
sorry, Daniel, what's the difference between application, the one you just showed and the job postings?
the job postings page. Okay.
What's the difference between job postings and applications and opportunities?
So you're asking for the difference between this
Oh.
one and
Oh, chamber applications is for applications for people being a chamber member, correct?
yeah, anything the chamber really needs. So if I can give you an example, like for example, if we're looking for a new logo, which we are, we can add a form where you can send in your own designs or an application to work with the chamber to create a logo. So that's something that'd be added here. And then our job postings page, this sends you to these job finding websites like Indeed, ZipRecruiter, LinkedIn, stuff like that, and where you can find jobs near East Palo Alto.
Got it. So job postings is jobs in East Palo Alto that preferably are member jobs, and then applications and really just opportunities in general.
Yeah.
Okay. Got it.
Here's our educational programs page. We have some East Palo Alto businesses that are highlighted already. And then under that, most, if not all of these are free, which could also be used for job training, but you can really learn any of your interests with these links here. And then we have our member exclusives, which require you to log into your account. So I'll log into mine right now. And then I could visit this social media marketing page. So this page is built for people who really have no experience with social media. So this takes you step by step through everything you need to know. So like from the very beginning, creating an account, how to find your audience, how to market your product, track your engagement, and then overall tips on how to maintain that account. And then I built this page called Learn to Market, which is a lot more specific to really how to use social media to your advantage. So while the last page was more like creating your social media presence, this is like really like getting into depth on sort of the algorithm and how to take advantage of everything social media has to offer. And then the last thing I have to show you is our plans and pricings page, which right now has 4 plans. And under that, a pay what you can to join the chamber. And like I said before, this is all a draft. So none of this is really official. This is sort of the outline for what will be final. And that's all I have to show you. I can put this website in the chat and you guys can explore it for yourselves.
Great. I have actually a series of questions, but my primary question, well, not primary, but the most immediate question is, are there next steps? Where do you plan to take this? How does your time look? Basically, how does this initiative or this project continue to live on and grow and evolve?
So right now, what we're working on is sort of engaging the community, but we were doing that earlier, but right now we're sort of introducing them to the chamber. So we're sort of like we're showing them this draft and we're asking for their feedback, while earlier it was just like, what would you think of a chamber of commerce and what would you need from that? We're sort of like we're showing the community what we have right now.
Great. And welcome, Jeff. Let us know if you have any questions for Daniel.
As you're showing it, are you able to collect any feedback like real time from them? Like, are you aggregating like reactions and?
Yeah, well, I did present on Facebook Live with Jerry where there were two community members there who could give me some feedback. And I didn't get a lot yet because that was just our first presentation of the chamber. But it's a good start, I think, just engaging those two community members.
Yeah, and those are the two community members that were live on the live broadcast, but the video is up and we keep getting messages from the community who's just like really excited that something that's really supporting a chamber. And there's all these features from the website of things that they never knew they could get help from a chamber, right? When we put up all that education link, and that was really through kind of Daniel's vision. Yeah, we're really like talking about having these conversations with community members, really getting them excited about what, not just what chambers are, but what they could be for East Palo Alto. So really breaking the mold actually right now. And Daniel's actually put screen caps of each of his pages up on a tool called Red Pen. And the Red Pen allows you to provide visual feedback directly on any element of the design. So we're going to be sharing that Red Pen tool with the greater East Palo Alto community to really invite democratic feedback and really helping us make sense of it all. And I think that will be in itself a very challenging but very rewarding learning experience. How do you take feedback from, in general, from a community and honor all of it? Because the feedback you gather, there's going to be people who want one thing and another person who wants the exact opposite, right? People are going to be giving feedback that seems to conflict with one another. So how do you make sense of all that seemingly conflicting feedback into a plan of action for refinement and improvement in the website and therefore the actual functions of the chamber? Yeah, that could be a next step.
Okay. Yeah, that's very helpful to understand. I think to build on that, one thing that actually might be interesting just as a really logistical, simple idea is perhaps, I don't know if on Wix you can put like a bar up top that says like why this website exists. Click here to get context on why this website exists. And then just have it link, have a text on that bar linked to a page that you make. And just describe, maybe it just goes to about us or goes to a separate page and just describe the context, write like a paragraph of why this website exists, because I see this actually going somewhere, right? And especially with Jerry and Greg's contacts at EPA, this could actually become really a case, right? To actually create a city-driven chamber of commerce, which is very substantial, by the way. I don't know if, I mean, that's a very big idea when you think about it, Daniel. And I think for the sake of getting feedback with the context in mind from the person getting the feedback or giving the feedback is going to be really important. So maybe consider writing context on why this website exists somewhere. I think it would be important. I have some very minor comments as well. So I know that you have to be a member to access the calendar, access the job postings, and access the map and so forth, right? One idea could be actually to try to put those up front, especially the map and the calendars, because that's what is very appealing when someone sees a map of the members, right? Like, hey, you can join this network. You click on one of these things, and then when you click on it, right, it then goes to a, hey, you got to become a member kind of scenario, right? And then the same with the calendar, right? It shows the event, and then we click on it, it then says become a member. But those are the appealing parts of being a chamber member, is the opportunities to connect with other people in the community through getting their information and or seeing events where they can collaborate, right? So just wanted to make that point to kind of bring some of those spicier items to the front. But that also prompts a more, go for it.
Yeah, one sec. So that's actually how the chamber is set up right now. So Though all those things I showed you are on display for the website, but to access them, we make it known that you have to be a member to access those things. But they're on display, but to interact with them and to add your own information, you'd have to become a member.
Oh,
So
okay, so it's
it's
set up
a
that
lot
way
like
already.
what you're saying, yeah, yeah.
That's good. Okay, so that's good. The reason why I would put it up on the front page is because you want to attract people with that front page, and some of those very meaty items get people engaged, essentially. This leads to a big, and bear with me, I think it gets better. But the next thing it prompts is, I don't know what the capabilities of Wix is. I really don't, but you've created a great infrastructure on there so far. But can it do these, like, is it running the sign up login system too? Does it do all that?
Yeah. It's
Okay,
all
you can
member.
build forums on it and chats and all that stuff on there.
Yeah.
Okay, okay. I guess my question and statement is, if this becomes, well, first of all, this has to become a usable. You have to prepare it to be a usable model for East Palo Alto to utilize as a chamber of commerce, right? So it needs to have full functionality to do what it needs to do, correct? But then in the future, it could also be a service that the founding members can offer to other cities that don't have chambers of commerce, and maybe they want to replicate that to some extent. So I guess because you all may not have coding experience, I'm assuming that, Daniel, you can correct me if I'm wrong,
Yeah.
you should work within your capabilities. But what I'm trying to say is, if you need to move towards a technical infrastructure that allows for more technical functionality, such as dynamic login, then you become a member, then it knows when you're not a member. Basically, you need a database, right? If you need that, you may want to prepare for that, right? Like, what are the capabilities of building this website on Wix, basically? And does it need a proprietary tech stack in the future? So you just want to take into account some of those. You're building an online website, you want to know what the ultimate path is for that, right? And what you need as resources. If you need a coder to code a proprietary website, you should look for one now, right? So just want to make that point as well.
Yeah.
But you've been able to do a lot with just Wix, and that's obviously why Wix is so successful. It's because of that. So another thing is video ask. So that is kind of the initial beginnings of why this program existed, was to utilize that just as a tool, and then it wasn't necessary to use it, right? I think a website's way better, but to utilize video ask more effectively, what we were actually thinking with City of East Palo Alto when they scoped out this project was using video ask as a way to almost guide members through programs, right? So training them on how to take the resource of starting a business license and actually walk them through step by step, right, on how to do the business licensing process, right? Download this form. That's the first question on video ask, right? And then they say, yes, did it, right? Then it goes to the next question and says, okay, now fill it out, right? And then, okay, yes, did it. And then the third question, okay, now find the address and then put money in it. Okay, and then they do that. Yes, I did it. Then, basically make a video ask for the process of training people, right, and members on how to utilize civic and municipal resources, right? So that's really kind of the next point. And video, and PilotCity starting to use video ask in that manner. Actually, we're starting to actually utilize video ask as a way to engage people, right? So video ask can be used in that manner, right? Is the point there. So you may want to consider using video ask for those manners as an idea.
Definitely, yeah.
Two more points.
Go ahead, yeah.
So one thing too, again, this goes back to the technical infrastructure of what Wix can do, but one idea too is there is Zapier.com is a really great tool for automating workflows. So, and one workflow that can be effectively automated from this Chamber of Innovation website is events, right? So I'm sure since you've explored those Chamber of Commerce websites before, I'm sure you'll recognize that it's a bit clunky, right? And it's usually using legacy traditional technologies that work just fine, but it's not UX friendly. So you may be able to build, like these final presentations that we hosted, we actually used Notion as an event page. They clicked on something, they went to an Airtable form, and the Airtable form was connected to Zapier to then automatically add someone to a Google Calendar invite. And that's how our event page system, we built our own event registration system, basically. So you can use Zapier to create your own event registration systems if you need to, given Wix can't do that for you. So that's like a suggestion.
We were
basically.
looking for an automation system for the events and calendar page, like exactly how you said that. So yeah, this will be very useful.
What I just described was what Jeff and I used to create the final presentation system, and it was very effective. I think we're going to start doing that actually more, because we don't want to just rely on Eventbrite all the time, right? When we need a very unique way of presenting events, right? So that's the next point. I think that's pretty much all my questions. Oh, this is the final question. So Jerry, it's a question for Jerry actually. So do you think Daniel should just be an intern for Elevate EPA instead of Pilot City Chamber of Innovation?
Yeah, I mean, that would be great. I mean,
As
we
a
could
title.
really use Daniel's help on, many future projects and that we can all see. I mean, I think one of the fun parts would be like engaging with real clients on accepting their feedback. I think that's something that's that if you have that skill, that'll take you really far in life.
Right.
Like, yeah. So we would love to continue working with Daniel, provide him with training and
Yeah,
also.
and then the question was less about, oh, well, I mean, Daniel, that's end up being your choice, right? So you guys can discuss that later. But in terms of for what just what happened in the last months, right? Would Daniel be able to consider himself more of an intern for Elevate EPA as opposed to this theoretical name that we called Pilot City Chamber of Innovation? So that was just a logistical question.
Yeah, no, definitely. Yeah, definitely.
Okay. So I think Dan, I think that would definitely hold more weight to be able to call the program that you just went through, not Pod City Chamber of Innovation, but Elevate EPA, which is what Jerry has continued to lead on even after his capacity with the city, right? And the thing is that I only Elevate EPA has a particular entity yet, right? Or is still considering it, but it does seem like Elevate EPA as a brand and as an initiative still lives on, correct, Jerry?
Yeah, and yeah, we should be. I think the actual founding chamber team might actually be the founding Elevate EPA team. So that those two organizations might be co-formed together.
Interesting.
It could even be that the chamber, Elevate EPA becomes a brand underneath the chamber. I don't know. We're not sure. We're taking our guidance from what the community wants to create with us.
Okay.
So that's kind of interesting. Now, I could also see that the parent organization that we're starting, that we're hoping to, create the initiative that we created with Elevate EPA to other communities, right? So other communities hoping to have their residents really lead grassroots action within their own communities, could experience some of the kind of network of resources and the collection of interrelated activities that we develop for East Palo Alto to access its transformation. Like what would a community, how quickly can a community accelerate their innovation if they worked with like a community organizer such as myself to not just build a collective vision within the community, but actually connect to the resources like Pilot City that can actually accelerate that process, right? Maybe another community isn't building a chamber. Maybe another community, what they need is an organization that fundraises for homeless shelters, and homeless services, right? I could see a program where an intern from Pilot City could build a website for that future organization as a way to rally the community around its formation. Right.
So I think what Jerry's alluding to is that I think following Jerry basically prompts I think the entity that you can be housed under in this previous experience and then wish to do after this experience, right? And what's interesting about, I think, Elevate EPA as a initiative to be under is that it's not just Pilot City with a program you're being part of with Pilot City. It's actually an entity outside of Pilot City, which is exactly what we're trying to do, right? So it gives you that kind of that experience set, right, for your own greater good. And then there's also, it seems like a lot of other opportunities that can build from Elevate EPA, Elevate Burlingame, Elevate San Leandro, Elevate, basically there could be a lot of different opportunities for contracting, right, with entities to then initiate projects and opportunities, and then even maybe some light consulting even, right? And you're kind of, you're right in the middle of that to be able to kind of produce and prototype some of these solutions for these communities, right? So Daniel, what do you think about what we're talking about? I'd love to hear some of your reactions.
I mean, yeah, I'd love to continue with Elevate EPA. I think I fit in pretty well, and I've had a great time working with Jerry and Gregory, and I've learned a lot. This whole thing is really just a learning experience and getting to pick apart my work and really just work hard on everything they've been telling me and take into consideration all their critiques and all their suggestions. So I think this has been very useful, and I think I could learn a lot by staying with them and keep on going in the future.
Yeah, you just gotta make some moolah too, right? So you can find out how to compensate each other as well. I would assume. I guess I guess one question would be, if you guys all decide to work together in the future, we do definitely have some tips around how to work with. You're still in high school, right, Daniel?
Yeah.
Okay. What are you, 11th, 12th?
Yeah, junior. Yeah, 11.
Okay. Well, you definitely have, I think, one or two letter of recommendation opportunities as well in these calls. So that's one thing to benefit from. But we do have some tips around how to work together, Daniel, if you continue to keep going on this path. Definitely scope out your time very effectively. We have alumni team members on Pilot City, and we've gone through struggles and working with high school students as on our team, right? So just be very careful with how you schedule your time and then stick to it, right? If you're spending 2 hours every other day with Elevate, right? Be sure to put in that on calendar, and when you schedule it, really do everything you need to do with homework before that, and then when you go into those hours, you're spending time doing it, or go into weekends. Maybe you're only doing weekends and you're scheduling hackathons with Jerry, right, and prototyping fixes to the Elevate, or the Chamber of Innovation kind of website or whatnot. So just be really careful with your time and then stick to it and commit to it, right, is what I'd recommend if you were to continue working with it. There's way too many students in our program that do a great job, and then after the internship there's opportunity, but the opportunity gets lost because there wasn't a good structure and schedule set up with the high schooler and the employer to effectively coordinate the execution of those initiatives, right? So just be very conscious of that when you do keep going.
I'd like to add a few words. I think that's really, really smart advice. And that's advice not just for interns, that's advice for like working consultants. Like when you're in the consulting world, it's definitely not like doing homework assignments where, as long as you kind of get it done before the due date, you know, whether you cram at the end or you spread it out along the way, whether you spend a lot of hours or just a few, like it really is like, did you get it in on time? With consulting, it really, you can't really function like that, because the way you get compensated is you count how many hours. But you know, an hour that you're distracted with all the things in your life that you didn't get done is not the same as an hour where you're free of all that and really focused on the work. And your clients will know it. And what's really difficult is as you're planning like your ability to engage a client, your number of hours you have in a day doesn't change whether or not you're focused on that hour or whether or not you're distracted. So you only have so many hours you can bill for, and you can offer. Yeah. So just yeah, if you're going to be a consultant and if you want to, you know, be one that's somewhat reliable so that you actually have customers who want to hire you.
Yeah.
Yeah, procrastination is just not something that you can really allow for. So yeah, that's really great advice. Yeah, make sure you can focus on the thing.
Trust us. We've
Yeah.
worked with a lot of high schoolers on our team, and it's like, you know, the reason why we're so delayed in our program is because we've committed to our alumni as team members, you know, and them having school. You know, it's ridiculous what we decided to do, but we're committed to that vision, right?
Yeah,
I don't
and
know what
wanna
you all
thank
mentioned.
I want to thank Pilot City for that, because when a lot of organizations are like, oh, worried about their reputation, right? So they'll like hire people to push things out, and how when you hire someone to do it, you'd actually take away the learning from the alumni to do it. And I think that commitment to really developing not just your participants, but also your alumni. I mean, that's something that very few organizations are willing to put their reputations on the line for. And y'all have done that. And that really shows your commitment to the individuals who you choose to, you know, really be out there to benefit. So thank you for that, Pilot City.
Yeah, absolutely. And Daniel, you know, I don't know you that well, Daniel, but based on I think watching your project and you know, watching your interview and knowing Jerry and Greg and what they did and what you just produced, like I pretty much have a good picture. But one thing about having solid, you know, interns for employers is that they gain a lot, right? They gain a lot in terms of learning. Someday I'm sure you learned a lot about how the world works now just by engaging in a Facebook Live, you know, or a meeting or Zoom with a bunch of people that Jerry and Greg know. But one thing too is that interns, when they get their, is this your first internship, Daniel?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So that is like the majority, right, of our program is students are getting their first internships with Pod City. And what's interesting about that idea is that this is probably one of your first work experiences, right? And so what's helpful about that is that there's a lot of loyalty and commitment and investment of someone's emotional energy, right, in their first experience in general. And so our interns are very committed, right, to whatever opportunities was given to them. And that's what we find from our alumni team members, right? And that's what's so exciting. Investing, right, time in young people, right, that are talented, who know how to think, just don't know some of the best practices. And when you get them engaged in a way where they're learning beneficially and having a great experience, there's this vision of Pod City that where we want to have emotionally invested societies, right, and communities. So how do we do that? We invest in the people who are from there to build their own communities, because they're going to have mom here at their final presentation. They're going to have their friends, you know, wherever. They're all local. So yeah, thanks for helping us build Pod City, and thanks for taking a little detour as well.
Yeah.
That was a really great presentation, Daniel, and this is your final presentation, and we're excited that you're end with this chapter, right, of your experience. We're happy to host beyond this too, to some extent. You can still use our infrastructure that we're using right now, Jerry, if you like, you know, to continue, but you can also kind of go out in your own freedom together and work in whichever way you wish to. But Daniel, do you have any questions for Jerry? And Jerry, do you have any questions for Daniel that you'd like to resolve or discuss before we have Jerry kind of close it out?
No, nothing for me. Yeah, I'm good. Thank you for all the advice, by the way. Yeah, I'll definitely remember all of that.
For sure.
Yeah, a lot of good advice in this program, Daniel. So I'm glad you were able to recognize that. I think I'm going to ask a question that I really feel like more people should ask, which is, where could the leadership improve? And that's leadership, me, Gregory, Shashay, Sean, maybe the team at Pilot City, but like, where do you feel like the leadership could really be strengthened to make your experience not easier? Because oftentimes the learning is hard and it's supposed to be hard, and easier would take away the learning. So I would actually say to make your experience more worthwhile, for you to even get more out of the program.
Yeah, I don't know if I have any comments on that. I think you and Gregory and Sean, you do a lot to really like stay in control of the internship and make sure everything's going right, but you give me enough freedom where I'm making decisions based on what you say, and I'm sort of like using critical thinking skills like on my work. And you like often let me pick out our schedule and like what our tasks are for the week. So I think you guys balance out that sort of like control over the internship and the freedom and the learning experience that comes with letting me do my own thing. So I think you guys do a great job, to be honest.
Okay, thank you for that. Well, we'll
Daniel, if there was something.
Yeah, if there was something.
If there was something that you can pick on that you didn't like, that you could better. Yeah, like basically intentionally be a critic.
Oh,
yeah, like if you said like I loved everything about it, and if I signed up again, I want to get more out of it, what would be that thing that would get you more out of it?
You guys are putting me on.
This is the best part of having interns, asking them hard questions.
Okay, so you want me to pick out something that I didn't like?
That you felt got in the way of you getting more. Yeah, it's not necessarily you liked or not liked, but like, yeah.
I think one thing is like planning out meetings, but not just meetings, like the content we discuss in the meetings. I think that could be planned out better, because then we could have a better use of time instead of just like wasting some time during the meetings. But
yeah, so everyone knowing the agenda of a meeting leading up to the meeting. Yeah, everyone being clear about it, everyone know how to contribute to it. Yeah,
pretty much.
Yeah. All right, we'll build that into the next experience we create for you or another intern.
Yeah, that's a really good one, Daniel. You could probably give it's always good to check your employer too.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was really good. Jerry, you want to help us close this out? Any final reflections with you as a impromptu employer with Pilot City's program again with Daniel?
Yeah, I just have to say, like East Palo Alto now has been in some way or shape engaging with Pilot City for 2 years now. The first year was fully underneath what a city to create access for its residents to engage with Pilot City's programming. And this year, it was a lot about what can like the region's youth learn from engaging with East Palo Alto and East Palo Alto issues. Because we do see there's such an opportunity for the rest of the Bay Area to really learn some of the lessons that East Palo Alto has learned, or actually I would say experienced and created, that really could set our region up for success to be more inclusive and more equitable? And I think these are questions that are really top of mind in many of our communities. So I would really say my hope is that like next year we have people like Daniel, like returners to a program, who could really lead maybe teams of young people from the region and locally in East Palo Alto, and kind of lead those facilitated like engagements where people from varying locations can come together to really deeply understand the issues facing a community and leverage both the insider knowledge and like the outside perspective to holistically develop like comprehensive um, solutions, right, to meet these kind of really complex challenges. So we hope that we continue to grow to really meet the potential that you know, our internal kind of city organizations and amazing organizations in the region, kind of as Pilot City is, to really come together. So we want our internship to really be a reflection of the level of collaboration and partnership that we hope to create. And we see that happening. So yeah, thank you for that. Thank you for creating all these opportunities and being in it for the long game, you know. Yeah.
Awesome. Daniel, you want to try to top that?
Yeah, I don't know if I can. That was great, Jerry. Yeah.
Well, this is our way of saying bye for now. Daniel, you're an alumni of our program now, so do look out for more opportunities as an alumni now. I'll tell you frank and honest, we haven't really been too good with our alumni programs because we're so busy trying to get our regular program going, right? More, but going this future, we're actually going to take alumni program much more seriously. So look out for new programs. And Jerry, you know, one idea that just sparked when you were talking was Pod City is going to be very invested in creating programs of all kinds. And so one program could be Daniel becoming the intern manager for next year's cohort. And then now Daniel's a manager for interns. And that's its own program, right? And so that might be a good idea going into our next cycle. So thanks for being an employee in our program. Daniel, thanks for being an intern and rolling with the punches. Really enjoyed the show. So
Yeah, of course. Thank you guys for having me. That was I enjoyed it a lot. I definitely got a lot out of it. So thank you very much.
absolutely. Cool. Well, that is it. All right. Thank you so much, everybody. We'll talk to you all very soon.
All right. Thank you, Daniel. Thank you, Pilot City. Thank you, Jeff.
Bye, Jerry. Bye, Daniel.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Congrats
Bye,
again,
Miss
Daniel.
Baloo.
Thank you.
Bye.